Hello, brilliant entrepreneur. Is it time for you to increase your prices? Well, if you're not sure, in today's episode, I have collected up 8 signs that it is absolutely time for you to look at increasing your prices. So let's dive in and go through them because some of them might be a little surprising. This is episode number 430 of the Heart Centered Business Podcast, which means you can find all the relevant links and the show notes for today's episode over at tashcorbin.com/430. Let's get into it. Hello, I'm Tash Corbin, a business strategist and mentor based on the Sunshine Coast in Australia. The mission of this podcast is to help heart-centered entrepreneurs to make more money and in doing so, change the world for the better. This podcast was recorded on the lands of the Gubbi Gubbi and Jinnaburra people. Always was, always will be Aboriginal land. So I think that reviewing your prices very consistently and looking for some opportunities to increase your prices is really important, especially in the first few years of your business. We often underprice our services when we're first starting out. We would rather have a lot of clients who are paying us less than, be a top tier pricing in the market. I think a lot of people also underestimate how much their audience might value the work that they do and might value the transformation that they facilitate. And so I'm definitely an advocate for consistently reviewing your prices and looking for evidence that it's time for you to increase them. So in today's episode, I've got 8 signs that you can have a look out for that to me would say it's probably time for you to review and increase your prices. Now, I do want to quickly say if you have, say, 3 or 4 out of these 8 things, that to me says it's probably time for you to start looking at your prices, and it's definitely time to have a price increase. If that's the case, I'm going to pop a link in the show notes of today's episode to another podcast episode I've done, which is how to actually do that, how to increase your prices and do it in a way that actually creates a cash injection for your business. And often when people increase their prices using that price increase strategy that I've mapped out in that other episode, it actually can be a real growth opportunity that when you increase your prices, you actually grow your audience, you grow your momentum, you grow your reach on socials, and you're also getting a lot of fence sitters off the fence and you're creating a cash injection for yourself. So I've got a step-by-step process to increasing your prices, and I'll make sure I link to that with the show notes of today's episode at tashcorbin.com/430. So if you've got some of these signs, you think, yep, I definitely want to do it, make sure that you go to those show notes and grab that other episode link as well. Okay, so obvious sign number 1, you're fully booked. If you are booked out, and I don't mean you have 8 clients a day, 5 days a week, that's overbooked, but you're fully booked. So if you work with VIP clients, I want you to think about how many people per week do you reasonably want to work with? Are you starting to feel like you are at max capacity? So if you're at max capacity and you're starting to feel like, actually, I think I'm working with far too many people in a week, or I've just got enough clients per week that I'm working with, then we can't increase the income that you're making in your business by increasing the number of people that you're working with. That's just going to make you overbooked. How else can we actually increase your income? We can increase your prices. And this can often end up creating a bit of a wait list effect, or people are signing up to work with you and they don't actually start for another couple of months. That's a good thing. So we can actually find ways that we can actually increase your income without actually increasing your workload. We can increase your income whilst decreasing your client workload as well. So if you are starting to get booked out, if you're starting to feel like you're at max capacity, that's a really good sign that it's time for you to increase your prices. So that's sign number 1. Number 2, your clients consistently tell you that you charge too little or you should probably put up your prices. Now, I am definitely someone who needs to learn how to shut my mouth a little bit more often with the people that I work with, because I'm often the person, the client who is telling providers, wow, you are so undercharging for this. You are so cheap compared to other people that I looked at. Oh, wow, this is such an affordable price point. I really think you should put your prices up. And my partner, David, is consistently saying, can you wait till you finish working with them before you tell them to increase their prices, please? Because you keep on encouraging people to increase their prices and then they listen to you. They go and listen to your podcast and then they go and increase their prices. Now, I actually am totally cool with that. I think I would rather pay more to work with someone and see the look on their face when they realize they have been consistently undercharging. But it's quite rare that clients would actually tell you, hey, I think you're undercharging. If you are hearing that here and there, I definitely think that that is a big sign that it's time to increase your prices. Now, I want to give a little caveat here. I said clients. I did not say coaches or business mentors or marketing gurus who are trying to sell you something, telling you that you should increase your prices. That's not a valid price increase sign at all. In fact, it's a sales technique that's used to convince you to buy from them, because then they always calculate your return on investment based on you charging an exorbitant amount of money or you significantly increasing your prices. And I've seen a lot of people actually fall for that, and then they go from charging $1,500 for their package to $5,000 charging for their package. They make one sale or no sales at the $5,000 mark, and then they're rocking in the corner in the fetal position because they fell for a marketing trick and a sales trick. So when I say you are being told that you should increase your prices, it only counts if it's your clients who are telling you, right? So that's sign number 2. Sign number 3 that it's time for you to increase your prices is that because of your experience of working with clients now and the number of people that you've helped, you're actually getting people results far more efficiently. Now, that might be if you're in the services area, like building websites or crafting people's brands or whatever it might be. That might be, you're actually getting that turnaround happening faster. But it still counts as well if you're working with people from VIP one-on-one session perspective as well. In the past, when I was charging a lot less for working with me for my VIPs, we'd get less done in each session. We would actually have far less strategic transformation per session in the work that we did together. That's because I didn't have the depth of experience and knowledge and industry insight and the work that I've done in the past. Like, I have now served thousands and thousands and thousands of clients in the years that I've run my business. I started in 2013. So I'm, heading into my 12th anniversary in business next year. So, for me, I have been doing this so much that what I used to cover in a 45-minute session with people is not as much, and it's not as effective, it's not as strategic as it is what I do now. So what I do now is worth more in the time that we get to work with each other. So a good rule of thumb that I have here is every 10 VIP clients and every 3 months, I recommend just looking at your prices. You might not increase every single time, but just do a review. Have I developed in my experience and my expertise to the point now where I get people results a lot more efficiently and a lot more quickly? Or I've got a quicker turnaround time in the work that I do, or I've got more value for the time that I'm spending with people as clients. That's definitely a sign that it could be time to review those prices. So that is sign number 3. Sign number 4, which is related, is it's been a long time since you did it. So if it's been over a year since you've increased your prices, cost of living has increased by at least 4 or 5% in most countries in that time. So your cost of expenses, your cost of living as an individual and what you need to draw out of your business is going to have increased as well. So if it's been over a year since you've increased your prices, then to me, that's a sign that it's time for you to have a look at it. Yep. Sign number 4, very straightforward. It's been a long time. Sign number 5, you need to create space in your calendar because your business is becoming more successful. So it's not you need to create space in your calendar because you aren't very good at what you do or you don't actually have a lot of clients or you're keeping yourself busy with a lot of busy work that's not actually developing much growth in your business, right? That to me doesn't say it's time for you to increase your prices. But if you are becoming so successful in your business that you've got a lot more client inquiries, you've got a lot more clients that you're working with, you are replying to a lot more DMs and emails because you've got a lot more leads that are coming in, that's giving you signs that your business is going through a growth spurt. And that can take up a lot of time and space. So if you need to create a bit of space now so that you can start to work on the next strategic growth phase of your business, or you can focus on a bit more qualifying of people as leads before diving into that lead conversation with them, or you need to create some space to build your next product that's a leveraged product because demand is starting to peak and you're seeing those signs that you've got a lot of demand increase in your business. So your list is growing, or your followership is growing on socials, or you're just getting a lot more client inquiries, your web traffic is increasing. So the numbers are telling you there's an increase in demand coming and you need to create space for that. A price increase can do a really good job of that. So let's say you're charging $200 a session and you work with 10 clients a week, and that's about your capacity at the moment, right? So you're making $2,000 a week working with about 10 clients a week, but you want to stop doing client-facing work 1 day a week so that you can focus on building a group program. And you can see you've got lots of leads coming in, you've got a lot of interest in filling up the rest of the spaces in your calendar, but you actually want to create some spaciousness there. Well, increasing your price, let's say you increase the price to $250 a session. In order for you to have the same amount of income, you actually only need to work with 8 clients a week. So that's effectively freeing up a fifth of your week, right? You're freeing up a whole day if you do 2 clients a day, 5 days a week, whatever it might be. So you're freeing up that day and you're protecting that time and creating that space whilst not decreasing your income. Now, the reason why I word it this way is because what I don't want you to do is increase your prices and then you lose half your clients and now you've just actually sucked a lot of the cash flow out of your business and you've actually taken a hit financially. We need to look at the data to see what the demand is and what that audience growth is, what that lead generation growth is, in order to actually be sure that creating that space in your calendar and reducing the number of clients you're working with one-on-one is actually supported and that the demand will be there to buy that leverage product or whatever that next offer might be. So it's definitely one that a lot of people will come to me and we'll be working in VIP sessions. They're saying, look, I just need to create some more space, so I'm going to increase my prices. But actually, when we really look at what's taking up space in their business, it's not actually demand driven. It's just busyness. And so we are better off creating that space by reducing the number of things that they're doing that aren't actually creating any growth or results or contributing to the growth of their business, rather than taking away client-facing time. And it's just actually born out of a frustration that their marketing and sales stuff is not working, that they decide they need to create space. But actually, we've got a value proposition issue, we've got a messaging issue, or we've got actually like an offer craft issue where they haven't crafted their offer in a way that's actually speaking to what their audience are looking for, that's actually like driving up the desire for people to work with them. So we want to create that space. Yes, that's the driver, that's the sign that it's time to increase your prices, but the data is proving that there is an influx of demand, that we are seeing a growth period, a growth spurt in your business. So we need to create space to work in a different way. Sign number 6 that it's time to increase your prices is that you have a lot of people who are sitting on the fence as to whether they want to work with you. And a lot of people tell you it's on their wish list to work with you one day. A lot of people come to me and they're like, oh, I'm just sick of people telling me that I'm on their wish list. Like, why don't they just buy from me, right? And they get very frustrated with their audience. But it takes a lot for someone to say, oh my gosh, you're on my wish list. I totally want to work with you one day. Like, people don't say that lightly, because if you say that to the wrong business owner, that's opening yourself up for Spam Fest 1995, right? Like, it's going to be wild if you tell the wrong person that they're on your wish list and that you want to buy from them one day. Like, I once commented on someone's post for a product on Facebook, and it was just an ad that I saw, and I thought, oh, oh my gosh, that's so exciting. And I tagged Davey and said, Davey, this is something to put on the vision board. And, it wasn't a cheap product. It was like $4,500 or something. And I got DM spammed. Oh my gosh, so bad, so bad. And at first, I thought they were reaching out because they knew who I was. I mean, don't you know who I am? It makes me sound very vain. But I thought they must have like gone and checked me out and seen my page and seen that I have quite a big following. And so when they first DM'd me, it almost sounded like they were like going to do me a deal, or like they were excited that me specifically was interested in this particular product, right? And so at first I was replying to their messages because I was like, oh, it sounds like they're going to like maybe offer a big discount, or maybe they want to do like a promo deal, or, maybe I'm getting some sponsored content. Oh, this would be fun. But actually, no, like it was just like, it must have been a bot. And it was spammy. I would have got 8 or 9 messages per day for like 6 weeks. And I like couldn't get out of it. Like I would be like, can you please stop messaging? Stop messaging. Stop. Like unsubscribe. And I was trying to use words because I think it was like an AI bot or a chat bot or something, but like just spammed me. I ended up blocking their page. So, a lot of people get to have that experience at some point online. And based on that experience, like it takes a lot for someone to then say, oh my gosh, like it's on my wish list to work with you. So treasure that. That is someone saying, I see the value of what you do and I'm going to buy from you one day. Like that person deserves to be like adored and loved and treasured, and that goes on your gratitude list for the day. Yeah. Now, if that's happening quite a lot, there are 2 things going on. Number 1, there's no sense of urgency. Now, that sense of urgency doesn't always have to be driven up by just making people have a deadline, right? Or that there's a price increase coming. But if it's happening a lot, you're getting a lot of people saying that can either mean that there's no urgency in your messaging, as in you're not making it clear why it's better to sort this out sooner rather than later, or helping to like drive up people's desire to get this happening straight away or get focused on this. Like this is actually your next critical thing to work on. So that's definitely a messaging thing that we would look into. But the other way that you can create that urgency is people will sometimes just assume you'll always be around, you'll always be available, it'll always be there, right? That maybe they've been in your world for quite a while, so it's easy for them to sit on the fence, and that's something that's very comfortable for them to do, and they just constantly, tell themselves, I'll buy from you one day, but it's easy to kick it down the road and push it to the bottom of the list. So sometimes by increasing your prices, you can and giving people that warning that the price increase is happening. So I'll make sure I link to the How to Increase Your Prices podcast episode. But doing that can actually make a significant difference to fence sitting and people putting you on the wish list versus actually, okay, I'm just going to do it now. I want to beat this price increase. Now, this is just looking for the signs that it's time for you to increase your prices. I would be looking for this combined with some of the other signs before I would take this as like, I definitely have to increase my prices straight away. And I definitely would be doing it in a very strategic way. But it can be something that is a sign. If you've got lots of people who are interested, that they're keen, they tell you it's on their wish list, you've done a lot of sales conversations and no one said, no, I don't want it. They all said yes, but just not right now. Then they're like in their fence sitting, like, oh, I'm still not sure just yet. I would definitely look at like your messaging and some of the urgency in your messaging, not manufactured urgency, but just like why it's something to prioritize sooner rather than later. And then I would also take that as a sign that it might be a good time to review your prices. Sign number 7 is you're starting to resent when you make a sale. Now, this isn't you're resenting your having to do sales or having to do marketing activities, but it's actually when you see the sale come through, you're like, and you're not as excited as you used to be. And actually, you're starting to feel a bit resentful for it. So that is definitely a sign that it's probably time to increase your prices, because that to me says you've got enough demand to increase your prices and you're actually undercharging because it no longer feels like a fair energetic exchange. So if you start to resent it when you see sales come through and people say yes and you're like, you're not actually as excited as you used to be by people saying yes, that's definitely a good one. That's sign number 7. And sign number 8 is you've actually got a plan and a strategy to increase your prices. You just haven't pushed the go button on it yet. Yeah. So there are a lot of people who listen to this podcast who I reckon have already listened to my podcast episode about how to increase your prices, and they know that it's probably overdue, and they've even mapped out a plan of how they would do it, but they haven't clicked go on that plan and they haven't actually put it in place. If that is the case for you, then that is absolutely a sign that it's time for you to increase your prices. Now, if you haven't got that plan, as I've said several times, we'll have a link in the show notes of today's episode to my previous podcast episode that walks you through the steps to increasing your prices and doing it in a way that you can bring in a cash injection. Now you're maximizing your conversion and you're setting yourself up so that you don't end up with crickets after the price increase and start to worry and freak out that no one's ever going to buy from you again because you overdid it, or you increase your prices but it makes no difference and you actually didn't increase your prices enough, right? So if you are looking for that podcast episode, make sure you come to the show notes of today's episode at tashcorbin.com/430 and we'll have that one there for you. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode of the Heart Centered Business Podcast. And until next time, I cannot wait to see you shine. Bye for now.